Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this fast forward planet spinning through space, wrapped in smoke and a pandemic. At least a big chunk of the United States, the West Coast, is essentially on fire. With PM 2.5 levels, meaning those small particle pollution, that's a very big health problem. That are at the level of what it's like to be in a home in rural Rwanda with an indoor cooking fire, which is a terrible thing. That hundreds of millions of families around the world still cook indoors routinely on pollution that's being experienced as a rare and extreme event in the West Coast. That's a huge problem. Climate change is involved in driving these fires. There's many more things at play and why they're so severe. And again, the pandemic question is something that we are all grappling with. There was a new post on the conversation the other day by a scholar down at Australian Catholic University, finding a word in ancient Greek, acedia, for our time and our a feeling that a lot of us have right now, which is, as he says here, Jonathan Zecker. I'm going to try to get him on the show soon. with some communities in rebooted lockdown conditions and movement restricted everywhere else, no one is posting pictures of their sourdough successes anymore. You know, this is getting to be a drag, right, in many ways, and it's a tragedy for many. Netflix can only release so many new series. The news seems worse every day, yet we compulsively scroll through it. We get distracted by social media, yet have a pile of books unread. We keep meaning to go outside, but somehow never find the time. We're bored, listless, afraid, and uncertain. What is this feeling? And he describes how a monk in the 5th century, theologian, used the ancient Greek emotion, described acedia, a mind seized by the moment, is horrified as where he is, disgusted with his room. It does not allow him to stay still in his cell or devote any effort to reading. He feels such bodily listlessness and yawning hunger as though he were worn by a long journey or prolonged fast. So we know one way or the other, many people in the world are feeling this kind of feeling these days. This Sunday broadcast of my weekly, well, several times a week, Sustain What webcast is designed to kind of cut against that, to build, renew spirits, to build a new sense of momentum, and to give people the energy and sense of community they might need to get through the day and the week and the month and the year. And of course, here in the United States, we have the political struggle right now heading toward November 3rd. And I hope everyone finds a way to vote, ideally in person, but make sure your vote counts. So this morning I have a fun array of guests. I think Joseph Pupe from Zambia is going to come on. Karen Brooks from the farm out in rural Massachusetts may get on amid a lot of work she's doing. We've got Dan Ramey again today, who's a wonderful guitar player and singer. Hey, Dan, how are you?
Hey, Eddie. Good. Nice to see you.
Good to have you here. And if everyone mutes when they're not speaking, that'll be great, because there's some background sound. I've got Julio Friedman up early out west in Livermore, California, that area. What's the smoke situation where you are, Julio?
Thankfully, the fire situation is far away from us, but the smoke situation is not. Air quality today here is unhealthy. Yesterday was very unhealthy. PM 2.5. Sorry, try that again. PM 225, which is pretty bad. I'd like to put this in perspective, though. One of my colleagues comes from Taiyuan, China, which is their coal center, and he was like, "Oh, geez, that's like a really good day in the winter."
Right.
So,
yeah, it's important to know
as they are.
These conditions are a chronic norm in many parts of the world.
It's all true. But here we have been shielding our lungs and our bloodstreams by staying inside. For what it's worth, though, my son actually made bread yesterday, so we at least have some sourdough going over here.
That's great. I thought I'd start things off briefly with a tune, an instrumental that I wrote a long time ago for my wife, the woman who's not my wife. It's called Song for Lisa. And let me just shift the camera perspective here for a second to do that. They've changed things here recently. I've got to. Oh, that's right. Solo layout. So hold on. Here we go. Song for Lisa, just to kind of build the spirits amid acedia and all the other feelings. Saudade is the Portuguese term for sort of happy sadness. Let's at least get to that happy sadness from complete sense of a fog. Good morning. A little rough and ragged, but it's a way to, music does give us a way to kind of cut through some of the other stuff, I feel. So my friends, Dan, Ramey, you're both fairly new to this show, and you're both involved with energy and climate, which is kind of cool. Have you ever met each other, or do you know each other's work?
Yeah, we know each other because Dan actually interviewed me for a podcast shortly after he joined RFF. So,
yeah. What's your podcast, Dan?
Yeah, so Resources for the Future, we have a weekly podcast called Resources Radio, and we interview experts on all sorts of energy and environmental topics and natural resource topics, and we had Julio on a couple months ago to talk about carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration. Storage. I never know which one to say.
Say storage, but it doesn't matter.
Long-term, I guess sequestration is sort of to imply the idea this has to be really long-term, like thousands of years.
It comes from the Latin root, by the way, sequestrare, which means kidnap, which I think is kind of cool.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that. Yeah, so many words with so many roots. Like the one we used for lockdowns. What was the word? Oh my God, I'm forgetting now.
Quarantine?
I'll get back to it. It came from Venice. The
40 days.
Yeah, quarantine.
I think
quarantine.
Yeah, it actually didn't come from Venice. It's an Arabian word originally.
Quarente.
Yes, I know that, but I mean, there was a Muslim doctor in the 11th century who figured out that the way that you solved this problem was you put people in lockdown for 40 days, and when it made it to the West, yes, it came through Venice, and the Italians called it quarantine for quarente. But the origin of the sense is actually from Muslim doctors, as is a lot of other good stuff.
Yeah, like algebra.
Yeah.
From Arabic.
The whole spirit of El Andalus.
There we go. So Dan, what kind of musical offering did you want to start off with?
Well, I was thinking as you were giving us that introduction and that piece from the conversation that I was thinking about a song that has a lot of sadness, and then it sort of turns, and it's got some hope in it. So I think I'll play that. It's a go ahead, Andy.
Well, I was just going to say that I see Joseph Poupe is here from Lusaka. I'm just going to bring him into the conversation. Joseph, how are you?
Hi, Andy. I am doing all right. How are you?
Good. Did you say you
Hello,
have better
guys. How are you?
better internet now? Is that what I heard? Oh shoot!
Apparently not.
He'll be back. We've talked a lot about the importance of expanding bandwidth around the world. Around Africa, the situation has gotten a lot better, but it's still obviously iffy. So let's go back to the music, Dan.
Sure. So this is a song by a guy named Will Oldham, who these days mostly goes by the moniker Bonnie Prince Billy. One of my favorite songwriters, and this song is one of his most well-known, mostly because Johnny Cash covered it near the end of his life. It's called I See a Darkness. Well, you're my friend. Andy, do you mind muting? I'm hearing an echo of myself. Thank you. Well, you're my friend, and can you see many times we've been out drinking, and many times we've shared our thoughts. Did you ever notice the kind of thoughts I got? Well, you know I have a love for everyone I know. And you've seen I have this drive live, I won't let go. But can't you see its opposition comes rising up sometimes? That it's lacking in position comes lacking in my mind. That I see a darkness, and that I see a darkness, and that I see a darkness, and that I see a darkness. Did you know how much I love you? Is there hope that somehow you can save me from this darkness? Well, I hope that someday, buddy, got peace in our lives, together or apart, alone or with our wives, and we can stop our whoring and pull the smiles inside and light it up forever and never go to sleep. My best unbeaten brother, this isn't all I see. Oh no, I see a darkness. Oh no, I see a darkness. But did you know how much I love you? Is there hope that somehow you can save me from this darkness? That's it.
Nice tune. So who was that again? What was the stage name?
The song. So the name of the songwriter is Will Oldham. He has gone by different names over the years, starting with Palace Brothers and Palace Music, and then occasionally he releases albums under the name Will Oldham. But mostly for the last couple decades, he's gone by Bonnie Prince Billy. He's also an actor. If you've ever seen the old Cole film Matewan, he is the child preacher in Matewan.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How did you just stumbled on his work through osmosis over time?
Yeah, he is. I've been listening to his stuff for a long time. He's part of the Drag City record label, and there are a number of musicians on that label who I really love. Joanna Newsom, Jim O'Rourke, Bill Callahan, sort of Chicago-based, sort of indie outfit. But yeah, Will Oldham is right at the top for me.
That's very cool. I want to introduce Gui Becker back to the stream here. Gui is down at the University of Alabama and studies this interface of ecology and disease, tropics mostly, right? Oh, sorry, I muted you. Gui, could you just quickly describe your focus of your research?
Yeah, we have been doing disease ecology in the tropics, mostly on vertebrates, frogs mostly, and now we're into the climate change science as well. So yeah, we do a lot of tropical ecology and conservation related to disease ecology.
And it's complicated. I wrote starting, over a decade ago about this question of the die-off of amphibians in the tropics. And the disease element, the climate element, it's complicated. But the one thing that's not complicated is this mass extinction event that's been happening for tropical amphibians, including salamanders as well.
Yeah, that's right. There's a newly described fungus that might reach the U.S. That affects salamanders. And talking about climate change, so we have a paper coming out in Nature Climate Change next month about how warming temperatures, predicted warming temperatures, will impact the beneficial bacteria in the gut of vertebrates. So it's an indirect effect. It's not affecting physiology, for example, but it is impacting the microbiome. The consortium of bacteria that is beneficial to vertebrates. They're not being able to digest food well, so there's a fitness impact. Yeah, and there's another student in the lab that witnessed an outbreak of chytridiomycosis, this frog disease, in Brazil, and we made a connection with the drought. So there was a drought, and then there was aggregation around water bodies, because it was so dry, and there was a spike in this disease and a die-off. So yeah, climate variability will impact vertebrates in so many ways. Yeah, we are tackling those problems right now.
Yeah, well, let's not. This is the No Talking Heads version of my show, so I'm so interested. I want to keep exploring the questions around this. There are some policies here that are still lacking that can, through the pet trade, bring salamanders into this country. And
yeah,
I didn't know until I was doing that research for my New York Times blog that North America has the greatest salamander biological diversity in the world. There's more salamander species here than ever, and they're poised to all vanish if this disease crosses the Atlantic from Europe. So,
yeah,
boy, oh boy.
Every day you learn something new.
Yes, this is true. And Luis Enrique Helmuth from, I think, down in South America says, "Good morning, America." Yes, there we go. Irene Barth was saying, wow, very, very beautiful for Dan's song. And Joanne McGarry, who's out in Humboldt County, I think, says, Dan, say hi to Dallas.
I will. Dallas, the great Dallas Bertra of RFF.
And Dustin Mulvaney, who was on the show a week or two ago, talking about wildfire, weighs in as well. So let's have another song. Or Guy, I'd love to hear. You have a new composition, right?
Yes, I do. I can play it right now. Yeah. So this song is called Sorcery Science. And it's about the current anti-science, climate denial agenda, that is going on in several parts of the world. And so the character in this song is a scientist that wakes up in the morning, and night after night he has the same dream, the same nightmare, if you will. And in his dream, Galileo Galilei is whispering in his ear and telling him, the Inquisition is after you. Hide your science notes. So this is Sorcery Science is about climate change and climate denial.
Let's hear it. That sounds great. Oh, and also Andrei Kodrescu has come in to. Hello, man.
Hey, how are you doing?
All right, back to Guy.
All right. It's 6 o'clock, it's 6 a.m. I sit up in bed, that same dream again. That same dream where Galileo whispers in my ear, hide your notes, the Inquisition's back. The end is near, it's been a witch hunt since the Middle Ages. Fires piled high with burning sages. Oh, from microscales to cosmic trails, chasing the light, fighting forward to break through. Yeah, the Inquisition's after you. Oh, it's been a witch hunt since the Middle Ages. Fires piled high with burning sages. Science, logic, philosophy, all seen as sorcery. Chaotic rage, denying climate change. Lunacy fuels the blaze. Don't let your books burn, or next will be your turn into the ashes of oblivion. Into the ashes of oblivion. It's 6 o'clock, it's 6 a.m. It's Galileo, that same dream again. The Inquisition's here. Oh, the Inquisition's back, my friend. Wake up, 'cause the end is near. Thank you.
That is a potent tune.
Thank you very much.
I love that that line about burning sages. Yikes, through the
Yeah.
ages. Boy,
Yeah, I
oh
would like
boy.
to thank a couple of friends that helped me out with the lyrics. Special thanks to Susie Claflin in University of Tasmania, great friend of mine, and also Raina Bell at California Academy of Science. I have many scientists helping me out with the lyrics. Raina Bell and Sasha Greenspan in my lab, and my wife Monica. So yeah.
Wow. One thing
Cool.
that's so interesting to me now about the science community is how our global connectedness has changed fundamentally the breadth, geographic and cultural, of scientific communion. In other words, if you're doing a paper on something now, you might just as automatically think about co-authoring with someone in Beijing, someone in Boston, someone in Bolivia, as you might have. Those historically, those patterns were more through what university you studied at. It just feels like that's a very powerful force for scientific progress. I don't know if that resonates for you all, or is it still mostly people you met at the water cooler who you publish with?
Oh no, totally that resonates with me. And the first of all, it's one of the few things that is an unambiguous good from social media. In general,
Right.
social media is a pretty mixed bag, but the ability to connect with like-minded scientists around the world immediately, like, massive win. And absolutely, not only does it allow you to think about it from a co-authorship perspective, the speed at which new scholarship is shared is incredible. And similarly, the sort of the news sort of function in terms of what's actually happening on the ground in a lot of science is also sort of shared. And you got the word right off the bat. It allows a communion in a way which is completely unheralded, to be able to track a friend in Australia or in Antarctica or in Austria as they're doing their work, to go back to your alliteration there.
And Guy, you're I assume you've got that same feeling, especially if you're studying a trans-tropical question.
Yeah, I mean, we have, now a recently funded NSF project. We're going to work in Peru, Brazil, Cameroon, and then we have collaborators all over the US and, all over the planet, basically, right? And I mean, my music is also, the same way. I have, friends in Brazil that are helping me out with the instrumental part of this song, for example, right now. My cousin Guto Stefan, he's working on the bass line. And Leonardo Pesual is working on the drums. So, and there you go, right? We are all connected.
That's great. Well, we'll have to get some of them on this broadcast sometime soon.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the song will be released probably within a month or so. So we are in the final stages of production. So
that's great.
Stay tuned.
That's great. So I wanted to check in. Hello, good morning to Andrei Codrescu, who's a wordsmith and thinking about that music we were hearing
Thank you.
and where we are today. What's on your mind? And Claudia Gibson is joining us momentarily as well from down in Texas.
Well, I like you scientists because you help me partition my rage. My son is in Portland in the middle of a fire. Friends of mine are evacuating in California. 2 storms are heading for the Gulf Coast. Friends there are thinking about where to come. They're welcome here. I remember being in New Orleans during the Katrina storm and having a house full of refugees. We had 12 to 20 people at any given time. Our good luck in Baton Rouge, because they had to leave New Orleans, and we had a chef with us, which was great. We had our 5-star meals every night during the general misery. But at that time, of course, New Orleans, people were being evacuated by helicopter. And I remember the particular story of someone who wanted to take their pet goat, and the helicopter refused to take it. And they said they will not leave without their goats. So I wrote a poem then, which seems apt now, of course, because disasters in some way are the same. It's called What to Do with Your Goat in a Drowning World. Here the helicopters come over the roof. Water's up to my attic windows, and I'm stuck here with my goat. I can see my neighbor in the hall on his roof. He's got two Daxies and the Tomcat. Just across the rushing river is his sister. She's cradling her baby and the rooster. Circling helicopters will take me, but not my goat. Will lift me up from muck and flood, but they won't take my neighbor's dog or cat or his sister's baby rooster. Helicopters overhead, nation to the rescue. Take the people, damn their friends. I'm not going without my goat. He's not going without his pets. Baby won't leave without his rooster. Lord, oh Lord, why don't we have an ark? That's the helicopters leaving. That's the nation to the rescue, leaving us here in the dark. We're still in the dark in many ways as far as the national responses to this apocalyptic world we're in. So I don't know. I was born in Romania under an authoritarian government, and our reality was rewritten for us. History was remade. Our textbooks lied about everything that happened. When the dictator was done, a period of great turbulence came, which I imagine is going to follow everything. But I do love to hear people dive deeply into the causes and the possible solutions to this. And so I listen to you in awe and humility and try to learn. So. And writing poems. What else? But
You're on mute, Andy.
For those who are new to Andrei Codrescu, he was a longtime commentator on NPR. I was going to try to play a clip from a documentary, Road Scholar, that was made with you touring America as you learn to drive, and hopefully, and you have your own webcast now that you're doing, which is great. So everyone just see his name there, Andrei Codrescu. Look for that, and you'll find his voice. Back to you, Julio. Before I'm going to bring Claudia Gibson in now to say hello, but Dr. Friedman, what do you have on your musical mind? I loved what you performed and played a couple of weeks ago from Aaron Copland's composition book. But what are you thinking this morning musically?
Thank you. Well, you're already hearing some foreshadowing of that from our guests. Last time I was here, I was interested in these really spare, sort of open, exposed pieces but they were all kind of optimistic. It was Debussy. It was Our Town from Copland. I think the tune has changed minor here. People are beginning to exercise a tragic imagination again. And that's pretty hard for Americans. We don't have much of a tragic imagination, as opposed to, say, Romanians who have lived tragedy, and it's not hard to imagine.
The default imagination of Romania. Yeah.
Right. And so I actually was wanted to play some Mussorgsky today.
Oh,
and,
I love.
One of the lesser performed pieces from pictures at an exhibition called The Old Castle. This was written while Mussorgsky's personal life was in total disarray. He had already become alcoholic. He had gone through a lot of tragedy himself. His parents had lost 50% of their wealth with the emancipation of the serfs. This forced him into a dead-end government job. It was the tune of the times. It was in fashion in Russia for artists and scientists to pose through alcohol, and was increasingly erratic. And he, at some point in this period in his decline, he was destitute. He was a homeless person. He wrote pieces like Sunless, a song cycle which is just devastating in its difficulties. And I chose this for two reasons why. One, this piece is haunting, and it is about decline. It is the old castle. It used to be Camelot, and it sure ain't anymore. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is that you hear the echoes of the past, and it starts with a little piece of the Promenade, which he wrote for as little bits of intermusic. And the promenade piece is interesting because it's low and has these sort of organ sound overtones with it. He wrote that phrase, the one you've all heard before from the promenade. It's in 11/4. The guy was an incredibly creative artist. He broke all kinds of rules. He was at the top of his game at the bottom of his decline. And there's something hopeful, I think, in that. As last time, apologies, I got to take the headphones off and open up the sound when I play here. I'll be back in just a minute.
Okay. Wow. So he's doing one of those Pink Floyd kind of time signatures.
I think Pink Floyd was doing him rather, but that's okay.
Of course.
I got to start that one again. I just got right off the bat. Try that from scratch.
buddy. That's what I wanted to play when my
Beautiful.
sky is full of ash, when my parents can't breathe. The joke
man.
that I heard last week when we had all the orange skies, I'm sure you've heard this too, is, hey, this is what the dinosaurs saw before they died. So
Yeah, there's been a lot of that going around on
Exactly.
social media.
no kidding, when the sky is the
it's a
color
rough
of the
moment.
president's skin,
And it's
terrible.
oy vey, as they say. So Claudia, how are you doing? How's the sky in Wimberley, Texas, there west of Austin?
It's good. Can you show everyone again? Because I'm just seeing.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yep. Yeah. I got. There you go.
There we
Being my own
go.
producer, director, and whatever.
It's
is,
really hard. I sympathize. I'm
Yeah.
doing a show later this week, and
there we
whenever
go.
you're working, it's just it's a lot. You need the banners and da da da
Yeah.
da, all this. So
Are you using
Yeah.
StreamYard now, or what's your?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
And I even jumped to the pro one this week because we're doing a show with the Folk Music Society of Huntington, Long Island, with another artist from Texas, Jordy Bison, who's a friend of mine. So we're streaming out to a bunch of places, and I volunteered to do it, and then I'm like, well, I need to step up my game, but it's good, especially when when you're working with people who have the right equipment, and it's fun. So, and they were like, "Oh, you know so much." I'm like, "No, just use this one thing. It makes you look like a genius, right?"
Well, not me. It makes me look like I'm trying.
And we're all trying.
we're all trying, yeah.
It's really hard because someone will say, "Oh, I can't hear you," or "You're sharing
Right.
that and I don't hear anything." So
Right.
yeah, down here in Texas, it's just going on, moving on. It seems to be the COVID seems to be waning a little bit. Of course, there's the colleges that are the little spikes up and down, but it's it's a little better. Everyone around here seems to be pretty serious about the masks for the most part. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. Except, of course, there's like tourists and people, football games, but that's a whole other issue. So
Right. It's a long path ahead.
Yeah.
I started out the broadcast this morning with this essay by a guy down at Australian Catholic University on acedia, which is this Greek word for kind of the state a lot of us feel right now. That could because the a never-ending aspect of the coronavirus impact on our lives right now. Also, recently, Ed Young at The Atlantic wrote a new piece on where this is headed, and he posted the context being like army ants sometimes create their pheromone trail in a way that creates a circle. So they just kind of keep circling and circling until they all kind of perish. And hopefully we're not going to just be in a death spiral, but we can break out of this, right?
we hope. We'll see what the next few months bring, right?
Yeah, and music is a part of that too. So what do you have this morning?
Well, I was listening to what Julia said about looking at things from a more optimistic point of view, like Americans do, versus Eastern Europeans who, it's always been sort of fatalistic. And I was thinking of my grandmother, who came from what is now Belarus, where they're having such terrible problems. And she came over the turn of the last century. She was a Jewish immigrant and an orphan, and she brought her little sister over, like so many Jewish immigrants did back then. And this past week, especially September 11th, it seemed very muted this year, the remembrances, and especially out here in Texas. It's just not a big deal, but having been in New York then and lived through that, it was, it's always a big deal. So it's personal. And so anyway, this song is kind of from the eyes of a young woman, and it's called Promised Land. It's my Nana's story. the 19th of September. They sent us off 1 month to the day. Me and Lina with a tattered old brown suitcase, Papa's portrait tucked inside and safe. From Liverpool in steerage class, nose pressed to dirty glass, tossing on the ocean 10 long days. Oh, Lana, sister, take my hand, see the lady with the torch. This could be the promised land. Oh, Lana, she's reaching out her hand, shining at us from the shore. Welcome to the promised land. The promised land. Living with our cousins down on Broom Street. Old world life seems so far away. Now I'm 14 and working in a factory, sewing ribbons on for 50 cents a day. We light the candles Friday night, Saturday dawn's clear and bright, taking Lina on the streetcar to the bay. Oh, Lina, sister, take my hand, see the lady with the torch. Are we in the promised land? Oh, Lina, liberty she stands, shining in our newfound home. Welcome to the promised land. The promised land. We are tired and we're poor. Still she holds her light to guide us to shore. The lady with the torch, we're living in the promised land. Oh, Lina, liberty she stands, shining in our newfound home. Welcome to the promised land. Could this be the promised land? Thank you. Thanks so much. And
Brava.
And if I could just
Very beautiful.
add, it was it's such an optimistic view. But when I was realizing that my grandmother ended up going through quite a lot. She got a career in millinery, but she was married and had 3 children, and then her husband was killed right before my mom was born, like 2 weeks before, and then she had to raise 3 daughters as a single woman in the Depression. And so she always just was so steady, and I think of that, maybe coming from that Eastern European Jewish little village background helped her to kind of, put everything in perspective. She was never, no matter how bad things got, she was just so steady and so strong. And she was 4'11". So.
We'll have to do an immigrant show just someday, just focus on those stories. I do have a song I wrote about my paternal grandfather who came over around age 14 alone with a toddler from Russia, from Ukraine, what's now Ukraine, and built everything he had with his own 2 hands. That's a line from the song. And we're surrounded by those kinds of stories. And Aaron Copeland, as Julio reminded us a couple of weeks ago, was an immigrant, was homosexual, was a communist, and an incredible artist. And that landscape of creativity that we are surrounded by includes every possible permutation you can think of those stories. They're great stories, one and all.
Well, as Steve Earle said, we are all immigrants.
That's right. I see Patrick Jones is setting up too in the studio, and David Ross is with us from up the road in Beacon. David, how are you?
I'm well. Busy morning here in Beacon. It's time to start getting serious about the tomatoes. They're either going to be there or not, and got to tie them up. And
yeah, we've had a lot this year too.
It's a nice thing to be serious about, given all the other things that we need to be serious about. Happy to have a morning where I'm serious about tomatoes.
I love that idea. There's a little bit of an echo, but I'll try to mute each time I'm not talking. So David, I don't know if you have earbuds or, but the sound is really good this week.
Good. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'd like to circle back to Guy and see if you had another tune to offer this morning. Going for the keyboard. And you'll have to unmute. Oh, there we go. Good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, good.
All right. So this is the same song I played last time I joined you guys.
It's about climate change, about deforestation, biodiversity loss, and pandemics. Well, there you go. It's called
What a World.
Cataclysmic Chaos. What's that?
Yeah,
What a world. What a world.
Yeah. All right, let's see how it goes. Mankind, tyrant over life. Vampires draining wildlife dry. We slash virgin forests, drive extinction ocean wide. Mindless, we are suicidal parasites. Smoke drifts high through the blazing sky. Fire, demons choir, while we spiral down with blinders on our eyes. Burning, free fall, trusting afterlife. Toxic storms from the brave new world blow distant tribes into the shadows. Instead of saving Wonderland, we choose to walk a maze of sorrow. When I close my eyes, I see lightning. I'm paranoid inside. I don't want my kids to inherit this crumbling planet. No, when I close my eyes, I see oceans rising. Please stop this genocide.
Mankind, tyrant over life. Vampires, draining wildlife dry. We slash virgin forests, spread the plague worldwide. Diving, free fall. We need change to survive. Thank you.
Well done, man. The urgency of now.
Yes, the time is now.
The world is quite
I want to
something
go
right now.
very briefly back to something that Andre said, that scientists allow you to partition your rage. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And the fact is that, I think about, and I've had this conversation with Dan, I think on his podcast, I said something similar, that you can get as angry as you want, but the work is the work.
That's
Like,
right.
what you got to do doesn't actually change. That's circumscribed by the scientific world. And in that context, the action plan is pretty straightforward. The work is pretty straightforward. The real question is, as a species, will we tie our shoes? And this week, I think a lot of people are feeling like maybe not, but that's just this week.
Yeah. I know.
Back to Claudia's point, like at some point or another, ennui stops being fun, and you just got to do the gig.
Right, do the gig, and that's we're charging the batteries here to do the gig. I'm spending the rest of the day working on parts of preparing for an NSF grant site visit. So we're all doing what we can do in little bits and pieces. David Ross, what's on your musical mind this morning? There at Beacon?
Something slightly spiritual, but nothing too.
Lift us up, if you can.
Song was written by an interesting couple at the time, written by Dylan and Joan Baez. I think you know the song I'm talking about. I Shall Be Released. They say everything can be replayed. They say every distance is not near. Yet I remember every face of every man who put me here. I see my life come shining from the west to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be relieved. They say every man needs protection. They say that every man must fail. Yet I swear I see my reflection somewhere so high above this wall. I see my light come shining from the west to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be relieved. Will you understand, some man in this lonely crowd, a man who says he's not to blame, yet all day long I hear him shouting so loud, he's crying out that he's been framed. I see my life
Yeah, bravo.
Thank you. That came through okay this time?
Beautiful, yeah. Whatever the microphone
Oh,
questions
I owe it all
were.
to Claudia, of course.
Good.
And a little bit to
Good.
Pat. Cat came by, and we flipped the right switches, and I think we got it all working.
I think he'll be joining us in a few minutes. I
sure
saw
hope
him.
so.
I'm going to quickly, seeing the smoke, I forgot my song, Liberated Carbon, which I have not played live on here. Let me just, if you don't mind, folks, I'll do that tune, which is about this moment. It took 1,000 generations for our species to rise, but gathering and hunting was no way to get by. We yearned to burn more than dung and sticks. Then someone came along and said, hey, try lighting this. He opened up the ground and showed us coal and oil. Said, come liberate some carbon, it'll make your blood boil. Liberated carbon, it'll spin your wheels. Liberated carbon, it'll nuke your meals. Liberated carbon, it'll turn our nights to day. Hey, hey, come on and liberate some carbon. It's the American way. I got peat swamp fossils running my TV. BP's Black Label burns in my SUV. We can light up the planet like a Christmas tree. They say that things are getting hot, but hey, we've got AC. Liberated carbon, it'll spin your wheels. Liberated carbon, it'll nuke your meals. Liberated carbon, it'll turn your night to day. Hey, hey, come on and liberate some carbon, baby, it's the human way. We'll pump those electrons and that gasoline. No sweat or hurry, just turn on a machine. We send an army to the desert to keep this country free. Hey, hey, and to liberate some carbon, baby, for you and me. Liberated carbon, it'll spin your wheels. Liberated carbon, it'll nuke your meals. Liberated carbon, it'll turn your night to day. Hey, hey, come on and liberate some carbon, baby. Liberate some carbon, baby. Liberate some carbon, babe. It's the human way. At least for now. At least for now. At least for now.
Yeah.
There you go.
I hate that song's more relevant every day.
Yeah, certainly this summer of smoke.
Yeah, I mean,
Life on Mars. My friend from San Francisco wrote back yesterday, said it's life on
yeah.
Mars.
Have you guys followed what's going on in South America with the fire in the Pantanal area?
I've seen it on satellite.
It's unbelievable. I mean, Pantanal is probably the largest tropical wetland, right? So it's roughly 200,000 square kilometers. So that's like New York, New Jersey, and New Hampshire combined, right? And 15% already burned down. So that's New Jersey.
Amazing.
All right. And I've been, getting a bunch of photos through WhatsApp and, over the emails of like very sad photos of dead jaguars and tapirs and anteaters, friends sending me those photos. It's just like unbelievable, right?
Yeah,
And-
I'm looking at a selection right now.
And the Brazilian government is doing nothing to stop that, really, right? I mean, most of those fires start in private lands and jump into the wilderness. I mean, they're mostly like, criminal fires. And Bolsonaro said that people should stop, paying attention to those fires, that everything is under control, but there's nothing under control.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and a little closer to home, we've lost 3 million acres already in California
Right. Yeah.
And fire season's only just begun.
Right.
And similarly, our federal government not exactly doing a lot in that context. So I again, it is appropriate these days to wake up a little bit half empty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but as I said before, it doesn't change the work. Like, we still know what we got to do.
Absolutely.
We ran this experiment just a few months ago in Australia, didn't we?
We
Yeah.
did.
You know, a billion animals killed, and everybody was like, "God, that's going to be the defining story of the year." Not so much.
Yep.
And there's one thing that I know this is the no talking heads version, and I'm not gonna be a talking head here. We're talking about some of this stuff with. We've got a bunch of Climate Week events coming up at our center, and I've got one on net zero, which I hope you all come and pay attention to. But net zero arithmetic's pretty straightforward. But what it does is it cuts through a lot of mishigas, like the simple ideas that people have. Like we just need to do this one thing, and then everything will be taken care of. Like, nope, net zero sort of makes a hash of that. But one of those is like, all we need to do is plant more trees. I think we're finding out what happens if you just plant more trees. It ain't exactly going to deliver the mail for everything. And that doesn't mean you stop planting trees. The opposite. We need to plant a huge number of trees. But the idea that one thing will fix 2 trillion tons of CO2 in the air and oceans, no. Like, we just got to do more.
And the scientific word for that is mishigas, of course.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I had a strong sense of deja vu when I heard the president talk about the anarchists and the terrorists setting the fires and looting and spreading the sort of fear. It reminded me of New Orleans and burning Walmart, which at the time I wrote a poem about it, so it's appropriate to the moment.
Yeah, that would be great. Let's hear it, Andre.
It's called Looting Walmart. They looted Walmart and they took the rifles. They looted Walmart and they took the diapers. They looted Walmart and they took the drapes. They looted Walmart and they took the baby formula. We got to be tough. We got to be tough. Send in the National Guard. Do we have enough soldiers? Do we have enough soldiers? Some of them are in Iraq, but they've got another half that just landed here. They took their positions. They're ready to shoot. Look at them crouching, ready for combat. Who they gonna combat? Who they gonna combat? 2 days ago, they already looted the Walmart. They looted Walmart and they took the rifles. They looted Walmart and they took the baby formula. If they come back to loot Walmart, they're gonna find the guard ready to shoot. How quickly they forgot how hard everybody fought against putting in this Walmart. How quickly they forgot how they didn't want a Walmart here, but now that they've looted Walmart, we want the National Guard here. They've looted Walmart and took everybody's memory. They've looted Walmart and they left us our history. The tactic. That's the upbeat.
And you've been through, your experiences in Eastern Europe, and you lived in, you were in Michigan, in Detroit for the riots.
Yeah,
you were
1967 in Detroit. It was the National Guard and the Army 82nd Airborne were going up Woodward Avenue, a 6 p.m. curfew, and if they saw any heads there, they shot at us. And then I came from a peaceful little communist country where all I had to do is lie about everything.
Right. So I
to me, it seemed like the streets and the unrest in America were actually a very wonderful respite and the liberation, especially being young, from the kind of oppressive silence of the countries that had accepted authoritarianism.
I was also in the Detroit riots. I was one. But my father had very, very strong memories of it coming from Venezuela, another place where that kind of civil unrest and the way that people behave is not hard to remember. And
Wow.
that meant that I was in Los Angeles during the LA riots in 1992. And as soon as the OJ verdict Simpson came down, he called me on the phone and said, "Get out of town. There's going to be riots." And I said, "What do you mean? That's not going to happen." He's like, "Get out of town." I was like, okay, I'll get out of town. I went home, and my very first image of the riots were African-American people dressed in their Sunday best. I lived 2 blocks from the first AME church. They were all going to find out how to peacefully protest. They were going to go downtown to the mayor's office, and they were organizing. I walked inside to pack my bags, and I saw Reginald Denny getting pelted in the head with bricks. And by the time I was in the car on the freeway, there were pillars of fire coming up all around the city. And I watched my grocery store burn to the ground on television. So, yeah, your poem has some resonance.
Right.
Wow. So I see Patrick Jones has joined us. Patrick, also in Beacon, New York, a city that's had been having a renaissance of many ways before the lockdown came along, and is poking its head back out towards some sense of normalcy
And now
these
the big
days.
news is that Snooki is opening up a store here.
Snooki.
It's the fact that none of you know who Snooki is speaks well
Tish
for all
and
of you.
Snooki, that's Snooki.
Snooki from New Jersey, from
Oh, that's
The real,
Snooki.
real wives, yes.
Real Housewives of New Jersey.
dear.
She's opening
There
up
we
a store.
go.
Yeah.
And so there's a mass exodus. Everyone
Well,
realizes.
they're doing
to leave.
protesting and marching here, and yeah, yesterday was kind of like the first time that things really kind of felt normal. There was a benefit for Dogwood.
Oh, good.
That was wonderful. That
So
was
Patrick,
really good.
what's on your musical mind?
On my musical mind is something that I was actually planning on playing last week for Labor Day, but I think it kind of ties in with the immigrant thing because I went to Hunter College. There's so many people that I know that still are coming from Belarus, baby, coming in and going for the American dream. Things are a little different now. I got a statement 18 months ago. If I did get back to work and paid off my student loan, I will have paid $225,000 on original $35,000 loan. That's what's going on with the banks today. So I took. Can you hear the guitar, by the way?
It's actually loud.
Okay.
I cut it back a little bit.
It's great. How about that?
Yeah.
So anyway, I was thinking about everybody here in mind because it was kind of like a white elephant in the room. Everybody knows somebody that goes to college that has to pay off student loans. Either that or you're a parent that has to deal with it. So it goes like this, to the tune of Merle Travis's 16 Tons. Well, some people say a man is made out of mud, and a college diploma will help you rise above. 4 years of struggle, study and strife. Well, you walk out that door to a better life. Can you hear everything okay?
Yeah.
Well, I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. The student loan person said, sign on that line. I scrolled through 29 pages of number 5 font. Well, if it pays for my classes, well, yeah, that's what I want. I got 16 credits. What did I get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the student loan. Well, I was walking across campus in the drizzling rain. There's a stop on my classes, go see financial aid. Well, you're short $1,600 for biochem, so they showed me some papers and I signed it again. I got 16 credits. What I get? Another year older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the student loan. So if you see me coming, you better step aside. I got my diploma and I'm making $9.95. Some banks in the Caymans taking half of my check. I'm in the same boat like all of my friends. We'll pay it off by the time we're 80. No sweat. I got 16 credits. What did I get? Another year older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the student loan.
Man, that is a great one. That has to get out and around. I'm so sad to know so many people who are locked in that trap. And it is a little bit, that's just a beautiful update. A beautiful and horrible update to a great song.
That'll sound good. That'll sound great when we play it as a band.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So I'm kind of seeding all my material for the breakneck.
I owe my soul to the student loan. Damn.
So I have a relatively young congressman, Eric Swalwell, and he has student debt. There's not a lot of members of Congress who do, but he does.
Yeah.
And that's, if you want to make it a frontier issue, elect younger people because they got it.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Ramey, you came on early in the day, and I'd love to get one more tune from you, Mr. A great energy and climate analyst from Resources for the Future. But boy, oh boy, a great performer too. So what do you have?
Yeah. Thanks, Andy, and thanks everyone for sharing all this. I'm just sitting here
Dan,
having a wonderful morning,
to play together.
listening.
Play, bro. We definitely got to chair.
I'm once the travel starts up again, I'm gonna come up the what's the Metro North line called?
Okay, man.
And we'll take a stop and play some music. Well, I'm gonna play something. It's also Patrick's song reminded me of it. It's an older song. This one is got a hopeful spin to it as well. It's about being in a bad place and wanting to get out. And I think you'll all recognize it. Well, you wake up in the morning, you hear the ding-dong ring. You go marching to the table, it's the same damn thing. There's no food upon the table, there's no fork up in the pan. You can't do nothing about it, you'll get the shit from the man. Let the midnight special shine a light on me. Well, let the midnight special shine its ever-loving light on me. Well, if you ever go to Houston, Lord, you best walk right. And you better not squabble, and you best not fight. Oh, Sheriff Brockton will arrest you, oh Lord will take you down. Then they'll march you to the station, boy, you're penitentiary bound. Let the midnight special shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine its ever-loving light on me. Yonder come Miss Rosie. Oh, how in the world do you know? Oh, I can tell, sir, by her apron, and the dress that she wore. An umbrella on her shoulder, a piece of paper in her hand. Goes a marching to the governor, and she says, turn loose, my man. Let the midnight special shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine its ever-loving light on me.
Oh, yeah. Bravo.
The hardest
Thank
thing
you.
about
Thanks,
those
all.
roof raisers is we should all be harmonizing, but with our bandwidth, technology hasn't quite gotten to the point where we can live join you, man. It's so
Oh,
hard.
yeah.
Well, I hope you were
I
singing
was,
along.
yeah. People could see,
sing along
and
at
anyone
home,
can
yeah.
sing along at home, which is true as well. Hold on here. I'd like to get, if there's a chance of us swinging through so everyone can close out with one more, that'd be great. Claudia, did you have another song before we end this day? Well,
Claudia, I think you're on mute. And I'm also going to take the chance to say bye to everybody because I'm going to have to bounce in about 5 minutes. So great to be with you again. Nice
We're
to
all
see you.
juggling parental duties and
Dan, that was awesome. Just while
daily
Claudia's
life
tuning
and
up,
everything.
Chopin said the only sound more beautiful than one guitar is two guitars. And you just sounded beautiful right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's great. Well, anyway, this is in fitting with the theme about climate change and disaster and all that. And this is one I wrote a few years back, but I started reworking it to be a slower song, which seems to fit a little more with these times. It's called End of Days, and I'm hearing kind of an echo, so I don't know if someone's mic is still on or not, but yeah, there we go. Hurricanes, wildfires, seems like Mother Nature's running wild. Is this the end of days? Feels like the end of days. River floods, house is gone, left in mud just to carry on. Is this the end of days? Oh, it feels like the end of days. Preacher says, brother, you need religion. Get down on your knees and seek a vision. Wind blowing in like it's Judgment Day. Maybe this world is gonna wash away. 2 by 2 was his plan. 40 days till they hit the land. Was it the end of days? It felt like the end of days. Rainbow sky, journey's end. Send 'em out just to start again. Was it the end of days? It seemed like the end of days. Forget waiting, sister, for your deliverance. 'Cause just making a move can make a difference. No use worrying about the Judgment Day. All of our fears are gonna fade away. got to live this life and all that's in it. Time keeps ticking to the judgment day. I don't want these years just to waste away. Are we lost, me and you? Where is love? Will we make it through? Is this our end of days? Is it our end of days? Is it the end of days?
That song is so apt. I just posted a link so people can see the lyrics
you.
and
Thanks, Andy.
learn it on their own.
Which record is that
Your
one on?
opening lines.
Pardon me?
Which record is that on?
That's on my first CD, but it's a
Yeah.
much more up-tempo band version, and I'm probably going to re-record it the next time I get into recording.
It
whenever
sounds
that
nice
may be.
solo, though. It sounds really nice.
Thank
solo.
you. Yeah.
There you go. There's the lyrics. Hurricanes, wildfires. Whoops, where's the top of it there? Oh, there we go. So, another beautiful day here. We have a few more minutes. We can go a little bit long if someone wants to add one more tune. Julio, I'd love to hear something from you if you have a last piece
Sure.
to offer.
In the interest of being a little upbeat, because we've been a little downbeat today, and also in the interest of keeping it super short, I thought I would play the first piece of Pictures at an Exhibition, which is The Promenade.
Yeah.
It's an iconic tune. It's beautiful. It's really short. But part of the reason to do that, as I'd mentioned before, two quick bits. One is that the opening theme is written in 11/4, and it's rumored that the reason that it was because Mussorgsky limped. And so that's the way he walked, which I thought was a beautiful story. The other thing is it comes back to a central aspect of music, and apologies, I'm a professor, I can't stop professing. The core element of music, as William Carlos Williams wrote in his piece, is repetition. That's the core element of music, doing something again. And Mussorgsky makes a point in here of putting wrong notes in and then making sure you recognize they're wrong notes because he plays them twice. So with that, let me unplug again. I'll be back in a second.
Amazing. I had the LP. Of
Yeah, most people
a
heard it
long
a
time
long
ago.
time ago. Of course, it's a orchestral piece, but Mussorgsky wrote it as a piano suite first, and that's what made it famous. Rimsky-Korsakov and later Stokowski reorchestrated it, but this is the good stuff.
Thank you, everybody.
I love the way you explained about the wrong notes twice. If I had had you as my music history professor, I probably would have done a lot better remembering all the songs because I needed those kind of like little stories, and it was very dry.
Indeed. And
But it isn't
what
dry; it's all fascinating. So
it isn't. If I encourage you guys to look up Mussorgsky on Wikipedia or just do an online search for images. There's a very famous portrait of him that was done 3 or 4 days before he died. And he's completely disheveled and he's got a big red nose from drinking. And it shows that sort of poignancy and immediacy of the image is terrific. And you're right, we don't typically get that stuff in music history class.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, there he is.
Yeah, emotion is a big part of learning, and connecting even to the wrong notes is really important. Is that it?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's a beautiful. Yeah.
He was born an aristocrat, and that's how it ended, folks. And we're still playing his music, and I doubt we'll be playing mine.
Never say never, brother.
Thank you, Andy. This was terrific.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Andy's muted.
Is he? Andy, you're muted. Yeah,
You're muted.
you're muted, and you're saying goodbye.
I know. I'm saying I know I'm muted. Sorry. I whatever. This has been another really great, inspiring morning. We have tough work
Yeah.
ahead every day. Everyone who's watching, share this when you're done. I just got to close out with my little bit of boilerplate here. So let me do that. Sustain What is a global online conversation identifying solutions to the complicated, shape-shifting, and epic challenges of humanity's great acceleration, which has been the technical term for the last 50 or so years. And now we have this great pause the pandemic is enforcing on us. A prime focus is making sense of, getting the most out of the planet's fast-forward information environment. The miracle of it is that we're connecting all now live and can share this afterwards. The hard part is it's full of noise and it's being hacked and hijacked by those who don't have productive outcomes in mind. The webcast is produced as part of my work building Columbia University's new Earth Institute initiative on communication and sustainability, hoping to make information and connection matter. And this is part of that experiment every Sunday. As soon as we're done, share the link you're watching on with others, friends, circles far and wide. If you have a music side or a poetry side, you can get in touch with me. Just look at the scrolling bar at the bottom, find a way to get a hold of me, get in touch with ideas, and mostly be safe from a distance, be creative, build community, and communicate, which is communicate. The core of that word is commune. It's an exchange. It's an exchange of information. It's not just saying something and feeling like that's important. Communication is a two-way street. So here we are in a six or seven-way
Communication is not
street.
broadcast.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Guy Becker. Thanks to everyone who was here earlier. Sorry that Joseph Poupe had some technical issues. He'll be back. Julio Friedman, Andre Kudrescu, Claudia Gibson, David Ross, Patrick Jones.
Yeah.
And see you again.
See you